In the heart of the vast savanna, surrounded by tall trees and whispering winds, lay the village of Umu. The people of Umu were known for their vibrant festivals, colorful clothes, and warm hearts. But there was one thing that set this village apart from others, a golden palace that gleamed under the sun. The palace belonged to Maya, a woman whose wealth was unmatched by anyone in the land. Maya had once been the pride of Umu. Her generosity was legendary. She would give away bags of rice during the harvest, offer shelter to travelers, and ensure that no one in the village went to bed hungry. The villagers adored her, not just for her riches, but for the kindness that radiated from her soul. But that was before the curse. The curse came like a dark shadow over Maya's life. It began on a day that seemed like any other. The sun was high in the sky, and the village was bustling with activity. But then, a stranger arrived in Umu. He was tall, with piercing eyes and a voice that sent shivers down your spine. He claimed to be a traveler, but there was something about him that didn't seem right. His eyes were too sharp, his movements too smooth, as if he wasn't entirely human. Maya, always the gracious host, welcomed the stranger into her home. She offered him food and drink, and they spoke late into the night. The stranger told Maya of faraway lands, of mountains that touched the sky and rivers that sparkled like diamonds. He spoke of power and magic, things that Maya had only heard of in stories. As the night grew darker, the stranger leaned in close to Maya and said, "I can see you have a good heart, Maya. But good hearts often suffer in this world. I can grant you a wish, one that will protect you and your people." Maya, ever the selfless woman, wished for the prosperity of her village. She wanted the people of Umu to be happy, to have enough food, and to never worry about the future. The stranger nodded, a smile playing on his lips, and said, "Your wish is granted." But as the stranger spoke those words, a chill filled the room. Maya felt a strange sensation wash over her, like icy fingers wrapping around her heart. The stranger's smile grew wider, and he whispered, "But every wish comes with a price." The next morning, Maya awoke with a start. She felt different, as if something inside her had shifted. She brushed it off as a bad dream and went about her day, but soon, the villagers began to notice something odd. Maya would burst into fits of laughter for no reason, only to cry moments later. She would speak to people who weren't there, and sometimes, she would simply stare into space, as if lost in another world. The villagers were concerned, but Maya reassured them that she was fine. She continued to help them, her wealth seemingly endless. But the more she gave, the more distant she became. The once warm and loving woman now seemed trapped in her own mind, her eyes vacant and her words jumbled. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the village of Umu prospered. The crops were bountiful, the rains came at the right time, and the people were happy. But Maya's condition worsened. The villagers began to whisper among themselves, wondering if the wealth that had blessed their village had come at the cost of Maya's sanity. There was one rumor that spread like wildfire, that the only way to save Maya was through true love. They said that if someone could truly love her, despite her madness, and give her a kiss, the curse would be broken. But who would love a madwoman? The villagers were grateful for all Maya had done, but the thought of loving someone so unpredictable, so frightening, was too much for them. Many tried to befriend Maya, hoping to uncover the secret to her wealth. They thought that if they could just get close enough, she would reveal where her treasure was hidden. But every time they tried, they were met with Maya's erratic behavior. Some were scared away by her sudden outbursts, while others were frustrated by her incoherent ramblings. Then came a young man named Oliver. He was a traveler, much like the stranger who had cursed Maya, but Oliver was different. He had no interest in wealth or power. He had come to Umu seeking peace, hoping to escape the pain of losing someone he loved dearly. When he heard about Maya, he felt a strange pull in his heart, as if he was meant to meet her. Oliver visited the Golden Palace one quiet afternoon. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the land. He found Maya in the garden, talking to a bird that wasn't there. She looked up at him with wide eyes, but Oliver didn't flinch. He smiled at her, a kind and genuine smile, and said, "Hello, Maya." Maya stared at him for a moment, as if trying to decide if he was real. Then, To Oliver's surprise, she smiled back. It was a small smile, barely there, but it was the first time in months that anyone had seen Maya smile like that. Oliver continued to visit Maya every day. He didn't ask her about the treasure, didn't try to uncover her secrets. Instead, he sat with her, listened to her stories, and treated her like a friend. The villagers watched from a distance, whispering among themselves, wondering if Oliver might be the one to break the curse. But Oliver wasn't thinking about breaking any curse. He simply felt drawn to Maya, as if they were connected by something deeper than either of them could understand. He saw the pain in her eyes, the loneliness that had consumed her, and he wanted to help. As the days passed, Oliver began to notice small changes in Maya. She was still mad, still spoke to people who weren't there, but there were moments when she seemed almost normal. She would laugh at his jokes, ask him questions about his travels, and even share memories of her past, before the curse took hold. One evening, as the sky turned a deep shade of purple, Maya became unusually quiet. She looked at Oliver with clear eyes, and for the first time, she spoke in a calm and steady voice. "Oliver," she said softly, "I remember everything. I remember the curse. I remember the man who did this to me. But it's too late now. No one can ever truly love me. Not like this." Oliver felt a pang of sadness in his heart. He wanted to tell Maya that she was wrong, that he cared for her deeply, but the words caught in his throat. Before he could say anything, Maya's eyes clouded over, and the madness returned. She pulled away from him, laughing and muttering to herself as she wandered off into the garden. Oliver watched her go, his heart heavy with sorrow. He knew that Maya was trapped, not just by the curse, but by her own fear. She believed that she was beyond saving, that no one could ever love her enough to break the spell. But Oliver wasn't ready to give up. He had seen glimpses of the real Maya, the kind and gentle woman who had once been the heart of Umo, and he knew that she was still in there, waiting to be set free. The next morning, the villagers gathered at the palace. They had grown impatient, tired of waiting for Maya to reveal the secret to her wealth. They demanded that Oliver ask her where the treasure was hidden, but Oliver refused. He knew that forcing Maya to remember would only push her further into madness. The villagers became angry, accusing Oliver of trying to keep the treasure for himself. Some even suggested that they should lock Maya up until she told them what they wanted to know. But Oliver knew that such an act would destroy Maya completely. He had to find another way to help her. That night, under the cover of darkness, Oliver crept into the palace. He found Maya sitting by the window, staring at the stars. She seemed calmer than usual, as if the night sky had a soothing effect on her troubled mind. Oliver knelt beside her and took her hand in his. He didn't say anything, just held her hand, hoping that the warmth of his touch would reach her. After a while, Maya turned to him, her eyes filled with tears. "Oliver," she whispered, "why are you still here? Why do you care?" Oliver looked into her eyes, seeing the pain and fear that lay just beneath the surface. He gently pressed his lips to her forehead in a soft kiss, a gesture of comfort and love. "Because you're worth saving, Maya. You're not alone in this." For a brief moment, Maya's eyes cleared, and a single tear rolled down her cheek. She opened her mouth to speak, but before she could say anything, the madness returned. She pulled away from Oliver, her expression wild and frantic, and ran out of the room, disappearing into the night. Oliver was left alone, his heart aching. He had hoped that his love would be enough to break the curse, but it seemed that the darkness that held Maya was too strong. He wanted to believe that there was still a chance, that love could conquer even the darkest magic, but doubt gnawed at his soul. The next day, the villagers saw that Oliver had failed and began to lose hope. They stopped visiting the palace, leaving Maya to wander its halls alone. But Oliver didn't leave. He stayed, determined to protect her, even if it meant sacrificing his own happiness. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The village continued to prosper, but the golden palace grew quiet, as if the life within it had dimmed. Oliver remained by Maya's side, caring for her, talking to her, even when she didn't respond. He knew that the woman he had come to love was still in there, trapped behind the walls of madness. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world in a golden glow, Maya suddenly collapsed. Oliver rushed to her side, his heart pounding with fear. He called out her name, but she didn't respond. She lay there, still and silent, as if her life had been drained from her. Oliver's heart shattered. He knelt beside her, his hands trembling as he touched her face. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he whispered, "Please come back, Maya. I can't lose you." At that moment, something miraculous happened. Maya's eyes fluttered open, and the madness that had clouded her mind seemed to lift. She looked up at Oliver, her gaze clear and filled with love. "Oliver," she said softly, her voice steady and sure, "the curse, it's lifted." Oliver couldn't believe what he was seeing. He had almost given up hope, but now, here was Maya, looking at him with the clarity he had longed to see. He helped her to her feet, his heart swelling with joy and relief. But before Oliver could celebrate, Maya's expression changed. She looked around frantically, as if searching for something. "The treasure," she exclaimed. "Oliver, the treasure is hidden in the palace, but it's not what the villagers think. It's not gold or jewels. It's something far more valuable." Oliver was confused, but he followed Maya as she led him through the palace. They walked down long corridors, through rooms filled with glittering objects, but Maya didn't stop until they reached a small, dusty room at the back of the palace. Maya knelt down and began to dig through the dirt on the floor. Oliver watched in silence, unsure of what she was looking for. After a few minutes, Maya uncovered a small, wooden box. She handed it to Oliver with trembling hands. "Open it," she whispered. Oliver carefully lifted the lid of the box and found a single piece of paper inside. On the paper was written a message in a language he couldn't understand. He looked at Maya, hoping she would explain. "This is the secret," Maya said softly. "The true treasure is not wealth, but love and kindness. This message is a blessing that was given to me by the stranger who cursed me. He said that if I ever found someone who truly loved me, the curse would be lifted, and the village would prosper forever." Oliver felt a warmth in his heart. He realized that the real treasure wasn't something you could hold in your hand, but something that lived in your heart. He reached out and took Maya's hand, knowing that their love had saved her. As they stood together in the dusty room, the curse was finally broken. Maya was free, and the village of Umu was blessed with prosperity for generations to come. But their story didn't end there. Oliver and Maya continued to live in the palace, not as a rich madwoman and a poor young man, but as two people who had discovered the true meaning of love. And in time, their love became a legend, a story passed down through the generations, teaching others that the greatest treasure of all is love.